As far as making music goes, if you want to make something a little bit more old school, like 16-bit or slightly better, you can look up Blue Moon Sound Club, and you can get it from Blue Moon's website for free. I used to have the MS-DOS version, which had a instrument editor in it as well. If you want to make sort of retro style music, Milky Tracker is another example of a popular piece of software for making that style of music. Fast Tracker 2, Pro Tracker. The Fast Trackers were very popular for making that kind of music, and for some people they still are. You'd probably have to use DOSBox in order to use them on most operating systems now. If you like something a little different that's similar, like Impulse Tracker, there's now a new version. It's kind of like a new version of Impulse Tracker called Schism Tracker. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And it's still being updated, so that would probably be a good choice. For very professional music that could be put to cinema or a modern video game, I would use Presonus Studio One. That would probably be my first choice. It's a little tricky to set up your device at first and configure everything properly, but there's tutorials on the internet to show you how to do that. Once you kind of get a feel for the hotkeys and how to use it, the production flow is actually really good compared to a lot of other DAWs or digital audio workstations. So I would actually highly recommend Studio One. If you are on a Mac, I would highly recommend Logic Pro. I don't have Logic Pro. I've watched people use it. It looks like the workflow is really good. It looks really well organized. I wish it was on Windows, but it's not, unfortunately. And you've probably heard of FL Studio. It's become a very professional tool, and with a lot of these modern digital audio workstations, you can get lots of VSTs too to plug into them, and you can do anything you can imagine. The only thing I found about FL Studio personally, although other people don't seem to have this issue, is it seemed like the workflow, the navigation, was a little bit less efficient, a little slower, a little bit more confusing for me, but that's probably just my psychology. Other people don't seem to have an issue with it, so it's a very popular choice. Also, Reaper is becoming more popular. Another one is Ableton Live. I have the light version of that one, but I find it a little tricky, but I know that's another popular one. You can find sound font libraries online that have all kinds of different styles of samples, instruments, orchestra, and you can just play them at different frequencies and make any kind of music you want that way as well. You don't have quite the power that you do with regular VST stuff, but if you find really good samples though, you can make it sound very professional. If you have a really big budget and you're going to go all out on the music quality of your project, you can use Kontakt and then get Kontakt libraries. I'd probably be tempted by something like Session Strings or just some of the string stuff to make really professional orchestrated stuff. Another all-around powerful product is ReFX Nexus 2, which you can make a wide variety of things, but it's primarily focused on like EBM dance type things. And there's a whole bunch of extension libraries for that too. I've heard Omnisphere 2 in particular is incredibly powerful. Uses a lot of different samples or sound sources and can do quite a bit of stuff. I haven't used it personally, but I've heard it's extremely good. So there's a wide variety of VSTs out there, and you can create a wide variety of different instruments or just pick up preset libraries that are out there. I've seen people work with Alchemy and it looks very impressive. One piece of advice, if you want to create really high quality sounding music, whether you're using a retro style or you're using something highly professional, I would recommend not playing too many instruments at the same time, especially if they're all within a close frequency range. So you wouldn't want too many basses playing over top of each other unless you were trying to boost a specific bass sound, if you didn't want it to drown out other things. So you kind of have to play around with how much volume different instruments are getting, and one easy way to do that quickly for a wide variety of instruments is to use an EQ filter. So when you're mastering too, it's good to cut out the volume, for example, during a beat. So when you're mastering your final project, you can use things like side chaining or a wide variety of other techniques to try to get certain sounds to come through more clearly, especially when you want emphasis on a specific sound. You could export to an OGG or MP3 and then put it in a music folder inside your content folder. We'll right click on content, add new folder, and we'll put music for each level in here. We'll add existing, and I already dropped a folder in there with this. We'll add that to that folder, add a link, and then we can build it. Going into game one, underneath editor.loadLevel, we'll load sound and music. Sound.load, pass in content, that loads the sounds, and now set media player to play the music that was loaded in there. Let's resolve this. Let's go back into Hero Jump in the player class, and where it says play jump sound, we'll have to decide whether we're going to play the regular jump sound or the one where he bounced off of a bouncer. So we might have to get them to send a message to tell Hero Jump which one it's supposed to play. If not, play bounce. So if we're not playing the bouncer sound, play the jump sound. Otherwise, we'll play the bounce sound. So I'll add another boolean here. I'll just insert it before play bounce. So this one will be false by default. Let's check all our hero jumps just to make sure we didn't mess anything up. Make sure we were specifying. Keep motion. Yep. So these ones, say play bounce, it'll be true in this case because it's coming off of a spring platform. Same here. In world collisions, in the moving down section, y greater than 0, we'll go under this hit spike section and we'll add, if we're not on spikes, because we don't want to use the sound when we're on spikes, we'll have an ouch sound for that. And the hero motion is not currently motion.jump, so he's not already jumping up. And he's now on the ground, and he wasn't on the ground before. It'll be the easiest way to do it. I'll just have to add that boolean, sound.land.play. And we don't have to specify any kind of volume or panning because the sound's right over top of the character and he's in the center of the screen. So we'll have to click here, and this is just for the purpose of world collisions. Boolean last grounded. Let's come back down to here, and at the very end of world collisions we'll say last grounded is whatever grounded is now, so that the next time it comes through the loop it can ask, was it grounded last time, is it grounded now, and decide whether it's going to play the sound or not. So that way you don't re-trigger it making the hit the ground sound constantly, it just does it once. You know what, since we have grounded and not last grounded, we can take this out of here. We're not going to need that, so this should work fine on its own. The sound when he hits the ground is very quiet, so you kind of have to really listen for it. We could modify the original file, make it a little louder. Bouncer sound seems to work. And we'll go into hero attack, control F, hero attack, there it is. Let's add the sound here for the attack, sound.attack, play. We'll move down to hero damaged, and where we set his status to invincible, let's say sound.ouch.lay. We don't have an explosion animation yet, but we can add in the sound effect for when he blows up because he lost a life. So we'll use the second version of this. Overall volume 7.7 F because it's fairly loud. We can lower the pitch a bit, and we'll just keep it in the center of the screen. So how about next, we'll work on the crystal effects so that when he walks past them, it's all kind of sparkly.